Order now at macros.com.au.
Welcome to GTV ANZ, the gaming channel created by Ubisoft. Every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube, we'll be doing fast plays, game challenges, 1v1 face-offs, and so much more. You happy?
When did we get a dog?
It's a good question.
I'm running out of time. I'm running out of feeling so. I'm running out of time.
And now, it's all on the save to play a heroic.
It's stage 3 of the Oceanic Nationals. We've got some new teams, we've got some new faces, even a new map. But we'll see if we get a new champion. Boy, I absolutely butchered that one. Firstly, more than anything, I just want to welcome in Vast into the broadcast, of course, retiring back-to-back champion from the Chiefs. He will be joining us this stage as our, I guess, dedicated analyst, really, more than anything. Vast, firstly, I will say congratulations on what was an awesome career. I very much look forward to your career on the desk alongside us, but I do have to ask, what do you think you're going to be able to provide for us, I guess, for this stage?
Sorry, I was
That's
muted.
all right, happens to the best of us.
That is not a good start. Anyways, yeah, thanks for that. I'm really excited for stage 3 to join the analyst desk. Yeah, I think I can provide, like, you know, a lot of the things you don't see on camera. I think I'll be able to provide an insight on that. I'll be able to provide, you know, breaking down a lot of the strategies and maybe kind of analyze why teams do what they do. And yeah, I think I'll be able to also, you know, talk about the ins and outs of how teams function and, you know, stuff like that.
One thing I wish you could also provide is me a haircut. Unfortunately, that's just not possible. Obviously, we've also got the lovely Guz back on for stage 3, but we can just skim over him and his short haircut. Let's look at the schedule for today's proceedings ahead. Of course, we've got 4 matches to be played out. Knights versus Overt. Of course, for those unaware, LFO were unable to field themselves a roster for stage 3. We had to bid them farewell. And coming in from the Oceanic Challenger League, it is Overt, Guz. Of course, stage 1, stage 2 combined, they were considered the best team and therefore got invited in.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for Overt. Now, of course, we'll dig into this in a little bit, but this stage for them is basically just a trial run. Their chances of avoiding relegation is quite slim. So for them, they're just heading in, just have some fun, learn some new stuff, and play at the highest level of local ANZ competition. In terms of the rest of the night, though, Roffle and Order shaping up to be quite a close matchup. Looking forward to that one. Rhythm and Bliss, maybe not as close, that one. Bliss, of course, the best of 1 Kings. Then to round out the night, the back-to-back champs taking on Wildcard. 2 big names in the scene going head-to-head.
Vast, want to get your thoughts in here about these matchups tonight. Anything that maybe entices you? Any thoughts? I guess, obviously, it looks like it's a pretty straightforward affair, but if there are to be any sort of, I guess, upsets along the way, where would you see them coming in?
No real upsets. I'm really excited for the Order and Roffle game in particular. Historically, Roffle have beaten Order, but Order have brought in a new coach. and they've been working hard to, fix a lot of the mistakes that they've been making and work on their fundamentals. Last night in Apex South, they kind of proved that they have made a lot of progress. So I think that will be a really exciting game.
Certainly will. We'll, of course, dive further into some of those changes for the respective teams as we get to them individually later on tonight. Firstly, though, the predictions, my favorite segment, especially considering I was the champion for Stage 2, whether it be regular season with Guz or postseason with Manic. We have, of course, got rid of Raven. We've brought in 2 new faces. Of course, Vast joining the broadcast, and Mandy, our observer as well. I don't know where reserver comes from, but some interesting choices here, Guz. Most notably, Sky and Manic. What's going on here? Because they're the only 2 changes compared to everyone else being pretty much on the same page.
Yeah, the only 2 outliers for the entirety of the evening. And look, I'm just going to put it out there, a bit of a meat pick from these boys. I think it is definitely fair to say that the Knights heading into that matchup, clear favorites. To me, what stands out as a little bit of a surprise is that match 2. Of course, Vast mentioning that he's expecting it to be quite an interesting one. No one backing Ruffle heading into that one. Maybe a potential oversight considering Ruffle have a pretty strong history. As for the last 2 games, though, to be expected, Bliss and Chief should win those comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone kind of just chose safe picks, to be honest, except for Manic and Sky. Yeah.
No surprises at all. You obviously have gone with everyone else there, Vast. It's looking like that sort of night, I guess, to maybe kickstart the stage where I think we are all pretty much on the same page with this. I've already got my eyes to tomorrow night. But hey, to be fair though, guys, OCN and to a degree Apex South is always 2 leagues that throw up surprises, guys. So it's never as easy as it really seems. I think Vast touched on it already, the bit of history between Rufflecopter and Order. I guess, honestly, we've obviously had a lot of our prediction in the past, most notably Raven, which is why we got rid of him. But ultimately, I think tonight should be pretty straightforward to kickstart the stage.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like almost every night we say it's going to be straightforward. It doesn't end up being the case. So we'll probably come back to bite our words eventually a little bit on that one. But I do have to agree, across the board, at least 3 out of the 4 matches, pretty clear cut on paper based on recent form. A bit of the Apex South form that we've seen from last night as well. So not expecting too many surprises to be thrown up, but still a lot of storylines, I guess, to follow. And that's probably the most interesting thing for me tonight.
Let's quickly, though, go to our first matchup of the night. Knights versus Overt. Knights, of course, a team that is more than comfortable in this sort of position. For Overt, though, they're going to be thrown straight into the deep end. We'll look at the Knights, though, of course, first, guys. They are a team with high expectations here for the Oceanic Nationals. Realistically, all the pressure's on them to perform in this match and nothing on Overt.
Yeah, once again, the Knights heading into this stage unchanged. It's now been this 6 for such a long period of time. They've developed some really great synergy and they are really starting to step up to the next level. Now, of course, unfortunately, they did qualify for the last major over in Mexico. Due to COVID restrictions, they were unable to attend. So for them, they've missed a pretty big opportunity to gain a lot of that international experience, which they are yet to. That would have been nice to come back into OCN. They would have felt very, very comfortable, even more so than they already do. But the storyline for them heading into Stage 3 is basically more of the same. OCN, historically for them, has been a little bit weak, so maybe a couple of tweaks here and there to try and tidy up their performances. But we're not expecting them to drop off by any stretch. In fact, they should only boost up the standings even further.
Yeah, I mean, Knights, they are a very aggressive team. They have very strong synergy. To beat them, it requires a lot of coordination and to make sure that there's no room for error, because they will punish you for those small mistakes. I think we saw last night that Haywood was doing that really well. I think Overt, will have a lot to do in this game. Just want to note as well, I really like Josh's haircut.
He seems to have followed suit of Guz and Manic there and has decided to just get it all chopped off. Let's look at their opponents, though, and a big welcome into OCN for Overt from the Oceanic Challenger League. I mean, look, as we already sort of spoken about it, Guz, no real expectations on these guys. And when it comes to sort of promos and rallos, where they're basically going to head to the relegations, regardless of what they can really do this stage. But most importantly, it's about gaining experience.
Yeah, so there is a scenario in which if Overt finish in the first couple of places in Stage 3 and Rhythm and Wildcard both significantly drop off and perform poorly in this stage, that they could avoid that relegation battle. But for the sake of simplicity, it's basically confirmed that no matter what, Overt will probably be forced to play in relegations. But think about it. The next couple of weeks is a fantastic opportunity for them to learn a lot, develop themselves as individual players and as a team. So they'll be well equipped for that relegation run. Of course, they did enter, being the top ranked team overall for the 2021 season in OCL. A close fought contest basically between them and Fury, but they did just edge out. That's why they qualified for this position. And I'm really excited to see what they can bring to the table. There's a lot of question marks as to how big the gap is from the top of OCL over in towards OCN, and we'll finally start to get some answers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think as well to note that Overt, their playstyle is oriented around adapting, and what that means is they basically form a lot of their plans and decisions based off the info they gather during the round, before the round starts. And I think that playstyle could work against Knights. So I think tonight will be really interesting how these playstyles mesh.
Guys, what do you think the goals are for Overt really this stage, right? I mean, we're not going to put expectations on them like playoffs or anything like that, but would they have, I guess, some sort of internal goal of maybe just get one win? I think we had Sawyer on the reload and he said it was to get more points than Rhythm of last stage.
Yeah, I think that may have been what he said. It's difficult to speak for them. If I was in their position, I would just be taking each match on its own merit and just going in with the expectation, let's play our best. If we get a win, we do. If we don't win, it's not the end of the world. It's important, though, if they do lose, they learn lessons and they transfer that knowledge into the remaining matches for the rest of the stage. I think as well in the first couple of play days, a telling sign is going to be how well Twent comes back into the roster. Of course, a bit of experience here at this level. I'm thinking way back to like Six Masters 2019. He was playing on Sleeper Gaming with like Mollusca, so he has been around. I think he was previously coaching this roster now in for Geordie, so there might be a bit of a transition period there for this team to deal with, but I think that's not going to be the only shock value for them. They're jumping into a massive, it's a massive step up from OCL for OCN for them to contend with.
And to basically have to play the Knights straight off the bat. I mean, that's as hard as it can get. Maybe the only Chiefs would be harder. Let's go to the maps, though, of course, for this matchup. Now, best of one. We're done with all the best of threes from the playoffs of Stage 2, and it looks as if it is going to be Oregon coming on through for our first match of the stage. Not too many surprises really here, guys. I don't think we would have been expecting Bank or any other maps that have had some changes this early on.
Yeah, for those who don't know, heading into Stage 3, both Bank, or all three rather, Bank, Coastline and Clubhouse all received minor reworks for the Crystal Guard season. They're all available in competitive play, none of which will be seen in this first matchup. Part of that probably being that the Knights don't want to hide, or want to hide rather, these maps for APAC South matches, and Overt maybe not feeling too comfortable on them just yet. Oregon is a map that saw quite a bit of play over in Stage 2 of OCN, 7 times in total. So yeah, it's a staple map at this point, both of these teams. I think we'll know what to expect, and as Vas pointed out and Overt said in their interview, they love playing an adaptable play style, and if you can bring that to Oregon, that can sometimes bode really, really well. Teams often get stuck in their ways, fail to adapt. We saw that last night in APAC South, and we may well see it here again.
Yeah, I agree. I think what I thought was that Overt would probably want to go for Clubhouse in Oregon. We see that Knights have banned Clubhouse straight away, probably expecting that, or maybe they want to hide Clubhouse for APAC South. Those two maps are really comfortable for Overt. I think Oregon as well, sometimes it's good to have that aggression and unpredictability. It can really give you an edge sometimes against particular teams that you're versing.
I think for Overt here as well, going to Oregon, I think they will be able to learn a lot against a team like the Knights, which probably won't have to do too much, guys. They'll probably be able to play pretty stock, standard, structured Siege on a map like Oregon, but it allows them to just get that sort of first-hand experience. We'll go to the final thoughts, though. Guys, I'll go to you first, and then Vas will get your thoughts after that.
Yeah, as the predictions reflected, except for both Matic and Sky, this should be a heavily favoured matchup to the side of the Knights. They have the experience, the pedigree, they have the roster to pull off a pretty easy win here. It should be comfortable. Overt just trying to find their feet in this matchup. Not expecting anything spectacular from them, but I do hope we see some signs of positivity. Not expecting necessarily a win from them, but if we can see some new stuff and some good team play, then I'll be excited for them heading into the rest of the stage.
Yeah, I predict Knights will probably win this game quite comfortably, but I think that if a few of Overt's kind of star players, such as Edpan and Cairo and Elements, I think if those players in particular are really confident and comfortable, I think that could give them a chance to have a pretty good performance. I think a lot of how Overt play will reflect on how those three players are.
Well, very much. It's going to be a tough match for Overt. Knights, definitely the favoured team. Thank you very much, Vast, for your thoughts. We are ready to get into the game, though, for our first match of Stage 3 of the Oceanic Nationals. It's good to be back, guys. And for the Knights, well, they'll be looking to maybe stop the Chiefs' winning streak and maybe find a championship of their own.
Yeah, it is good to be back. I love me some OC Siege, and I'm really, really excited to see what Overt can bring to the table and just how good they really are and what young talent might be up and coming. Yeah, exciting storylines to be developed.
It's a good test. Honestly, I almost feel like if I was a player in this situation, to go up against a team like the Knights straight away probably is ideal. Because if you're going to look at some of the teams that are maybe closer to your level, the ones that you might think you could get a few points against, you probably don't want them day one. You probably want to get your feet wet, get involved, get a bit of momentum, find a bit of a rhythm inside of this stage, and maybe even find rhythm at some point later on and maybe try and find a win. But this allows them to sort of just see where they're at, get a bit of a feeler, and come in against a team like the Knights, who, look, I think Overt are going to know they're not going to be playing probably 110% Knights, but they're still going to get 95% Knights that are going to give them a really good test.
Yeah, and there's no expectation, no pressure on Overt here. So this is, as much as I hate saying this, and people probably won't like me saying this, this is, to an extent, a glorified scrim, because Overt, highly unlikely to avoid relegations, the Knights, highly likely to comfortably sit in the first couple of positions. So this is just a great opportunity for them to come out, try some stuff, see if it sticks, and if they get absolutely slaughtered by the Knights, well, then they can go back to the drawing board, lessons learnt. If they put up a really good contest, then hey, maybe they'll be a real prospect going forward for the rest of the year, and maybe even heading into next year if they do survive that relegation run. Either way, though, bound to be exciting. In terms of the bans, though, Habana, Thatcher, Malusi, and Kaid, nothing too unexpected here on Oregon. Pardon me, I was going to say Habana, pretty important, of course, particularly on those basement attacks. Can be supplemented by the Maverick or even any other hard bridge because the Kaid is unavailable.
Oregon, one of the more played maps for Stage 2 of the Oceanic Nationals, had the highest defensive win rate out of all the maps played in Stage 2. So Knights on the defense first. We kind of expect them to, I guess, get out of the gates here, build up a bit of a lead, make things difficult for Overt. If they're able to do that, you kind of expect them to then, I guess, run away with the game. For Overt, I would say, as we do come back, even Vast is going to join us here. Hello, welcome back, Vast. For Overt, if they can find a couple of rounds early on, Guz, and make it an interesting contest, maybe we change our tune a little bit. And I think one thing that should be noted here is, based off what we've said, we definitely would like to see Overt come out strong here, start strong, find a few rounds, make it interesting as we do get back into the game. So goodbye to Vast. Hopefully, though, hi and bye. Hopefully, Overt can make things interesting, and we'll see how it all plays out as we get in for our first round of, well, basically Stage 3.
Yeah, positive sign just on the offset here for Overt. Nook being brought out here by Cairo, and that could allow for a bit of a sneaky off play here, maybe try and catch the Knights off guard, especially if any of the team elects to go for a roam. It doesn't look like that will be the case, so Overt should be able to gain pretty quick map control, but Cairo is still important. 2 nades in hand for late round.
Of course, we've got a new sponsor on board, HP by Omen, and they will be our community votes. 68%, 32%. I mean, that's a little bit cautious. I'm a little bit surprised by that one. Thought Knights would probably dominate a little bit more there, but big thank you to HP Omen, of course, there for the community vote. Of course, reminding everyone, you can follow at R6 Esports OCE and at Omen by HP_ANZ on Twitter to vote on the next series ahead.
This is interesting. Hayward at the top of tier 3 in Big Tower. If it hasn't been droned out here by Overt, that could pose a very dangerous threat late round. He can flank, especially once Overt get control of Pillar and they're not really watching those flanks as much.
Minute with 40 seconds on the clock and not too much going on at the moment. Hayward over towards Big Tower. Minute and a half now, and honestly, I think for Overt, this is interesting point, really, that we're going to see throughout this stage. Their ability to manage the clock, Guz, and you do not want to leave too much time. If you get down to the last 20, 30 seconds and you haven't found a kill, for instance, it's going to be difficult, especially against a team like Knights. They haven't flushed out Hayward either. Josh does go back down. He's going to get pushed, though. Nice little flick onto Edpan. Twent, though, able to get the headshot onto Josh. And Elements gets one back. He finds a second. And suddenly this attack from Overt is looking quite successful.
Hayward, though, on the flank. Is the flank being watched? Yes. Got a shot from Elements. 3 in the round. Now Juicy needs to try and retake Laundry. Vaults over, does so, but the long angle being held by Cairo. Overt to take round 1.
Well, for a second there, I thought time was going to be an issue. It was about a minute left on the clock. They still hadn't quite flushed out Hayward, and in the end, they just pushed straight onto site, guys. That's what you like to see from Overt, especially on the attack, making something happen, dictate the play ahead of them, and back themselves in. Understanding that we're going to have to push into a team like the Knights, sitting on the defense, holding those sort of angles. I think Josh definitely got caught out for a second, did find a kill, but then got traded back immediately, and then that kind of opened up Pillar and the rest of the site down in Basement.
Yeah, Basement was already starting to go through a bit of a phase where the attack was unlocking it, and it was starting to get quite tricky to defend. I think that's only been exacerbated more so by the recent change to flashbangs. They are so much more powerful now. Even if you look away, if it's within range, it still will flash you for at least a small duration. So very, very difficult to hold some of those positions downstairs where you need to. Easily flashed out by the attack. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Overt flashed too heavily in that last round, but it is something, of course, to note for the remainder of this match as well. Juicy will bring out the Warden in this round, so responding to any more potential flashbangs on this occasion, but I don't think any will be brought. Heavy emphasis on grenades here from Overt. I don't know exactly what Ace has in hand, can't see at the moment, burning, but we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, and I don't think one round means it's suddenly panic stations for the Knights or anything like that, but suddenly when it's 1-0, and then maybe you make it 2-0, then suddenly 3-0, then it would be panic stations, right? That's the position that Overt are going to want to try and find themselves in, back themselves in, see if they can find a few kills the way that Elements was able to do. And if they can replicate that here again in the second round, maybe even up 2-0, Knights might just say, oh, what's going on here? Like, this is a little unexpected. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, though, and we definitely know Knights are more than capable of bringing any sort of game back if things do eventually snowball later on in the round. Right now, though, Knights definitely playing down below. They are going to extend out away from sight.
The Valkyrie available. A common ban here on Oregon, but slips through on this occasion as it is that Malusi Kaid combo taken down. That means that the defense can gain good intel outside. Twent elsewhere, though, will burn those mine magnets, eventually open up a line of sight in towards Games. Elements on the rappel over towards Gen Window, holding the cross as well. Decent progression here so far from Overt. Cairo electing again to lurk on the nook down below. Might be able to find a pick, and does. Juicy went for the vault but shut down. Hayward unable to immediately trade that back, now under threat.
Really good game sense as well there from Cairo, understanding that push is going to come, and the aggressiveness from Knights. Great positioning, great timing. Sometimes timing is everything, and sure, there's a little bit of luck involved as well, but you take that and you make your own luck. Minute and 40 seconds, Overt with the man advantage. We definitely build this one as the Knights should win comfortably, but Overt looking quite strong here in the opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, Cairo's still down below. Hayward is electing not to contest that, instead playing safely tucked away inside of security. Cairo, that meanwhile, goes up white. A little bit unlucky not to win that fight. Dino wins it out the MP5, leaves it in a 4-on-4, minute 15. Still available as Overt will rotate over. Twent does have that diffuser in hand. I think the setup for here for Overt is probably main stairs or white stairs rather, and the main double window. It looks like that will be the case as Edpan goes bot white, but Hayward ready and waiting finds that kill, and the Knights now in a great position.
Should have also mentioned Sage on the Thunderbird. Of course, now available. Saw a little bit of it yesterday in APAC South, as Kono stations have been deployed. 45 seconds Knights, though, now with a 2-man advantage. Makes things very difficult for Twent and Sawyer. Spray from Dino. Thought was going to be successful. Was not. Push in as well from Twent through big window. Josh will take out Sawyer. It's 1 versus 2. Dino on the ground. Twent, though, roughly about half health at the back of Dorms. 25 seconds. Does have the kit in hand. If he can get this down, maybe get out through window, could make a play. Goes for the shots and expecting plays from left and right. In the end, it's good night from Hayward.
Good cross being held there in the 2v1 by the Knights. Disciplined, not feeding the ace there in the latter stages of that round. Hayward playing a pivotal role there. It really did look like Overt were going to be able to set up that white stairs cross, jump in double window and get that plant down, but getting that pick down below onto Edpan, critical for the Knights. They capitalized upon that, close out the round, and in doing so, even the score's 1-1.
Well, I mean, what an opening 2 rounds of it, of course, with a sort of blitz attack down in basement. Knights much better in the second round and definitely seemed like they were in a bit more control despite Overt getting that opening pick. But again, as you mentioned, Hayward roaming down below, able to find a few kills and prove to be the difference maker. Knights, of course, not concerned by any means here. It's only 1-1. It's very early days, but it's good signs from Overt, and that's what you like to see.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been... Again, it's just so hard to put any expectation on them, but it still would have been disappointing had they rolled into the first 2 rounds and just gotten absolutely stomped. But the first round, quite positive, and I really like the intent they're still in the second round. They made the mid-round call. Lads, we've done good work over towards Trophy side. Let's rotate, let's go for something slightly different. Maybe the Knights won't be able to adjust in time. Of course, they did overlook the fact, again, that Hayward was down below. They didn't quite clear him out in time, but, you know, still positive signs. Just got to tidy up that execution a little bit. As for the other side, though, the Knights, they'll be cruising. I don't think it's been... I think it's been a long time since they've seriously felt pressure inside of the server. It feels like they're, you know, pretty cruisy. Maybe part of that's just their body language. It always seems to be so cool, calm, and collected. But yeah, no reason really for them to be stressing out.
Of course, yesterday, Knights opened up their APAC South campaign with a 7-1 stomping against Wildcard Gaming. So they're already quite warmed up. Those are some of the advantages of playing in APAC South. It's been spoken about many times, guys, about, you know, the teams that have to play so many different teams. They've got to prep for, you know, 2 teams every week. Got to play South, got to play OCN. But in this instance, you do get warmed up that the Playday 1, coming into Playday 1 of OCN, you do get that little bit of a warm-up in a real match environment. Knights, of course, already had a good win yesterday. They'll be looking to do it here as well for OCN. For Overt, though, I guess that opening round may have actually expelled some of the jitters a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, the mental aspect of Siege critically important, and if you are even a little bit nervous, that can significantly impact your performance. So the approach for Overt, well, both of the teams really, has got to be just cool, calm, collected, play your game, and execute that match plan. Back downstairs we go though here in round number 3. Mirror available, so that could make these clears a little bit trickier for Overt, but keep in mind, flashbangs, so powerful. Now again, not exactly sure what Twent has in hand because he is droning. Always seems to be droning when I want to see what his secondary util is. So it will be I can't remember the name of them. The breach charges. Jesus Christ, I completely forgot what they're called. So that's interesting. Overt electing actually not to bring any flashbangs. I would have thought that for these basement attacks, they would be very, very powerful. Instead, they're leaning heavily into the frag grenades, so maybe wanting to clear utility instead.
We saw those flashes, of course, which have been changed. So useful in APAC South. Elements inside a trophy. To be careful when taking a fight with Sage. He ended up winning it, but not enough to get the elimination. Sage is able to fall back through Attic. Elements does try to follow after him. That's what you like to see from Overt. Play aggressive, back yourselves in, look to take those ones and try and win them. And well, now you force Sage down below. It's 5 now on site for Knights. And you've still got 1:45 to open things up and choose your avenue of attack.
Yeah, heavy emphasis from Overt still to be clearing from the top floor. They'll need to quickly realize that, of course, the defense is down below, bunkering down, trying to set themselves up for the execute. You can see Freezer being monitored by both Dino and Sage. Pillar side will also being covered by Hayward. Previously watching front behind that mirror window, and Josh alongside him, Pillar, to hold that cross. So quite fortified currently by the Knights. Overt will need to open up these hatches, which they are, and then really start to get to work on dislodging some of these players. Those frag grenades will prove critical. If they're not going to use flashes to blind their opponents, they need to think about using grenades, either to clear the utility supporting these positions or the players holding them themselves. Unfortunately, though, for Twent, he falls. That's Hayward taken down. Those Sun was no longer being impactful.
Just feel like we're not going to see a replica of the first round where Overt were able to then push onto site, find quite a lot of kills, mostly through Elements, who found 3. With 42 seconds remaining. Down a player. Knights setting up defensively really perfectly right now. They've got 3 players basically covering pillar. 1 watching freezer. Not too much of an emphasis towards laundry. And there's only, what, 25 seconds left. This is going to be very difficult for Overt. Hayward does not move at all. Should have found that kill. Never mind. We are going to see a replica of round 1. Elements found 2. Edpan got 1. 3 versus 2, though. Dino and Juicy look to bring things back here for the Knights in red time. Elements will now push on to site, get this plant down. Edpan with the kill onto Dino. Juicy in a 1 versus 3. Elements is low. This is technically winnable, but very difficult. And full credit to Overt. They're very much landing their shots.
No Nitro available for Juicy. Proves costly as that plant is secured and he can't even use it now to try and retake site. Angle's being held here by Overt. They just need to hold on for another 20 seconds. 50 HP available for Juicy, make it 0. Slayer to close things out. What a play there from Elements to bring his team back into that round.
Edpan as well, very much instrumental in that round. But yeah, I mean, I felt like with, what, 20 seconds left on the clock, guards, down a player, that they wouldn't be able to do it. And I got to say, yeah, I got a little bit of egg on my face there because it basically happened the way that it did in round 1. Again, Laundry, Supply, and Elements has been able to produce a round win for Overt, basically. They go up 2-1 here on Oregon on the attack as well. I mentioned the stat from Stage 2. I mean, look, only 7 times we saw Oregon in Stage 2, but nonetheless, it had the highest defensive win rate, around 66%. Nothing else was even remotely close. And Overt right now playing this very well. I think we did speak about it yesterday, though, in APAC South, that for Oregon, especially for basement, we are seeing attackers open it up quite a bit better.
Yeah, the Knights, though, will re-attempt it now for the 3rd time, yeah?
Yeah,
so
wow. That's interesting.
Quite intriguing. And both times they have faltered on this site, it has been really around losing that control of pillar and not winning those ones. And a lot of that hasn't necessarily even been facilitated by the util being dumped by Overt. So a little bit concerning there for the Knights, and good signs of confidence from Overt who are being able to win those fights, transition that control in towards side and actually pin down the remaining defenders. So the Knights will need to really tidy up here. I'm not sure exactly if they'll change their structure up. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, basement seems to be very comfortable for Overt.
It does feel like Knights actually fell off above pretty early on in that last round as well. I think noting about minute 45 on the clock when we saw all 5 members. A large reason for that was Sage losing his 1v1 up in dorms. But I think Knights almost need to play a little bit more aggressive, to be honest. Make it very difficult for Overt. They're continuing to sweep. They're already continuing to commit to this, but at least you need to maybe get a few of those fights in. 2-1 on the 2-1 on the scoreboard, but Overt, they can find a 3rd win here down in Laundry. Supply, I mean, this is, well, what could set up maybe the surprise of the season in the first match of the season. And I got to say, I would love to see Overt win this, but the fact that Manic tipped them means I don't want it to happen. Because I will hear about it all night tomorrow night.
And Pan aggressive in towards meeting. Now there is a player these stairs, droned out by Sawyer. Josh with an impact will take that down as Edban swings, takes down the default, and Josh will fall back. One thing to note as well is the Knights, Dino in particular, of course, on that mute, placing those jammers actually on the top floor, faking out a bit of a roam, forcing the attack to take their time, clear the jammers, drone out top floor, make sure it's clear. Now, they did do that. Time efficiency quite solid as well, similar really to the last round where they still have half of the action phase remaining to open up these hatches, begin droning out sight. Sawyer likely to rotate over towards blue once again and pinch out that pillar position alongside his team on the stairs. So positive signs once again from Overt. They are just going through that checklist like they did on their last 2 successful attempts. And I don't see any reason why if they back themselves in once again, they can't convert the round.
Yeah, and they're not even down a player this time either. They were able to accomplish all of that at a 4v5 deficit in the 3rd round. Still came out on top. The key man to watch, though, is definitely Elements, because he's done it twice now, guys. You almost expect him to do it once more. Just under a minute remaining. And one thing that's definitely been noticeable for Overt is they don't rush this. They're more than happy to let that clock tick down.
Sun was deployed, Twent to drop the hatch, gets aggressive. Doesn't quite win that fight, though. Oh, there's one in Harry Potter. Hayward finds one, but it's a great swing from Edpan to find that kill. Good comms from Overt. That player on the stage, or stairs rather, can get picked up as Juicy. Using that mirror window, does find one in response. Overt with the man advantage. HP low on Elements though. 30 seconds to shape up for the execute. Dino up.
Dino up and low. So is Elements. 3 versus 3 is a go. Pillock control established now for Overt. Sawyer can get this plant down. Edpen watching the hallway. Juicy starting to get moving. There's a ping as well. There's actually a whole bunch of them. Sawyer though. The C4 from Sage, is this going to stop him? No, it's not.
Swing!
Oh, the swing though! Edpan covers, it's a quad now for the round. But the plant did not go down. Juicy to maybe salvage this for the Knights with the final second. He hides, he denies the ace, and he denies the round win. For Overt, Knights hold on to make it 2-2.
Whew! All right, let's go. This is actually turning into a really spicy matchup. Juicy doing a great job there to hold on late round. That really could have gone poorly for them at the end there. The C4 denial from the Knights, not on point. I believe 2 Nitros were ripped there as Slayer attempted the plant. Missed the first and missed the second, but fortunately the swing there from Dino was really, really powerful there at the very end. We saw Cairo as well lurking. He got shut down. Juicy doing great work.
0.2.
Yeah, Edpan covering, but again, just not quite enough. Juicy here, his positioning and his match awareness, his game awareness, spot on. It really was around a millimeters, but the Knights just edging out with that experience.
Definitely feels like right now Overt are bringing a lot of chaos down below and just sort of trying to swarm and overwhelm the Knights. It worked out the first 2 times, doesn't quite work out this time. Edpan with a quad, didn't quite get the ace. He's now 6-2-1, Elements 5-2-2. So they are fragging out. They're actually doing very well in these exchanges. 2-2 on the scoreboard now, and that was a big one for the Knights, because if they had gone down 3-1, boy, a story definitely would have been brewing. Well played from Juicy, well played in the end from Knights. And I think the major thing was that player in Harry Potter, Gus. I think that turned the tide the most for the Knights defensively as we head back upstairs to dorms.
Yeah, a player being allowed to lurk in that position must have simply just come down to a miss drone. Someone from Overt not droning that position, or maybe they did and Hayward managed to rotate unsuspectingly into that position. I'm not quite sure, I didn't quite catch it, so can't comment, but either way, a little bit disappointing there from Overt. Still a really, really solid effort to try and still win that round out. Super duper close in the end. I'm really interested in getting the thoughts on Overt. Still electing to stick this Nook pick. I believe this is, what, 4 out of 5 rounds probably where it has been played so far. Proving to be quite prominent. Don't know if it's had a massive, massive impact, but it is something that the Knights will be thinking about in the backs of their mind. They can't trust all the intel that they are gathering.
Cairo, the aggressiveness. Oh, and he does spot Hayward, lands a tag in his shoulder. At least that's a little bit of information for Knights. Cairo lurking in that shower corridor. Elements watching this double window.
A bomb has been located.
And Sawyer and Edpan can get to work on this attic wall.
Oh, Sage. Finds one there on the Thunderbird. Nade cooked by Edpan. That might hit the mark. No. Josh survives. Playing close up against the wall. His feet surely will be exposed. The shot's missed though. Edpan shooting between his legs, I believe. Either way, misses his opportunity to find that kill. Josh able to fall off. No one there to cover from Overt. A kill does go missing and the Knights will retain the man advantage.
One minute and 15 seconds on the clock here for round 5. Oh, Elements. That's always a tough one to hit.
It's Josh again.
Able to just scrape by. Sawyer finally now with access into attic. Established hit control as well. Josh though with that kill onto Elements, and now Edpan going down makes it a 5 versus 2. Sawyer low, this exchange did get the kill onto Dino, but immediately traded back. Josh and Juicy combine, and the Knights will take the lead 3-2.
Yeah, an unfortunate set of circumstances there for Overt. Allowing Josh to get away with that was a pretty fatal error. Had they put it back to the 4v4, it would have been unlikely that we found themselves, or Overt found themselves in that situation where they kind of just had to send it. They didn't really have too many other win conditions available for them. So again, a small mistake does prove costly. Last round though, of the attacking half, Cairo brings out another pocket pick. It will be the Finca on this occasion. Now, Finca, interestingly enough, heading into Crystal Guard, the most recent update as of a couple of days ago. Really, really strong now. She has frag grenades. Her heal now permanently heals. It's no longer temporary either. So you can do a lot of work with Finca. She can be quite powerful. If the rest of the team's happy to put up with the recoil buff, which some players actually don't like because it's so strong, if you can put up with that, then she can be a very handy pick. She's bringing, or Cairo is bringing flashbangs though. So I guess maybe compensating for the fact that Sawyer and Edpan already bringing 4 between them. Probably don't necessarily need any more. And like I said earlier, Overt probably not bringing enough flashbangs and abusing them as much as possible. Yeah. So I don't mind the fact that the Finca is trading that off.
So the final round of this opening half for the first match of this stage. We head over to Kitchen Meeting for the first time, actually. Basically only seen Dorms and Basement in this matchup so far. Of course, Overt taking 2 of the first 3 rounds, and since then the Knights have been able to win 2 in a row, establish a bit of a lead. And if they can actually finish at a 4-2 half, guys, I mean, that's basically job done in the end for Knights, and basically avoided a bit of a scare for what could have been.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, but still a lot of work to be done in this round. Can Overt show something on this site? How well versed are they on attacking this objective? Default taken out over towards rear stage. Overt looking to establish a foothold in Big Tower. Twain over towards T2. Think about opening up Attic. Important that teams get control above. If the hatch is being monitored by the defense, getting the default plant down will be challenging. So it is likely we'll see Overt contest the likes of Dino, who is playing up above, trying to force him, flush him out of this power position.
No pressure here for Overt either. This has already gone pretty well against a team like the Knights. 2 early rounds. They would probably hate to see it maybe unravel from here. It actually has been a very exciting opening half. Elements, big pick onto Sage. Just like the first time in a while since we've seen Overt with that opening pick, and now with the man advantage to follow. With 1.5 minutes remaining, can they capitalize? They have actually got some decent pressure now with Cairo positioning himself inside of Dining. To say that though, it's Dino with the kill onto Sawyer. Oh, okay.
Juicy gets traded though. Cairo from behind enters from Dining to find that kill. Elements. He's been an impactful player so far in this map, but he needs to go big. Still 3 defenders remaining. Make it 2 as Cairo finds another. Dino up above with control, and Hayward in an off position at the top of Laundry Stairs. Can they deny the plant? Can they retake site?
I don't think anyone's watching this hatch though. Dino doesn't quite have the information, and that diffuser is going to be planted from Cairo. Element 6, 3, and 2, a player you would love to have up in this position, and he certainly is. Time now is of the essence here for Dino and Hayward to make a play. Just under 30 seconds remaining, pushing on to site. Hayward dies immediately. Cairo's got 3 for the round. Cairo's got a quad for the round, and for the half, it's 3-3. What an entry to OCN for Overt here in the opening half. Welcome back to Oceanic Nationals, presented by Samsung. Of course, we always love to thank our presenting partner, Samsung. You can check out their latest range of NVMe SSDs by simply typing !SSD in Twitch chat. So, opening half is done and dusted, guys. 3-3. I mean, that's basically as good as we thought Overt would be able to do. More than anything, I think they've even surprised myself and maybe even yourself.
Yeah, genuinely a pretty impressive half of Siege, and really, there was an opportunity for them, if they won that other basement attack, which was really, really tight, they could have actually been leading 4-2 on the most defender-sided map in the region. So, standout performance from them. No expectation heading into this match, heading into this stage. They are here to learn from the very best, but they are putting up a really, really good fight. A 3-3 scoreline, reflective of what has been a good performance. Cairo in that last round of the half went absolutely huge. Elements as well throughout the first half, really impactful, getting a lot of really critical entries and gaining map control, particularly around those executes. So some really positive signs from them so far. Again, not dire straits for the Knights. Like it'd take a lot to absolutely chalk their mental. They're probably one of the best in terms of maintaining that. But this could very much chalk the mental.
This is nice to see from Overt. You don't see it too often from some of these OCN teams. Cheeky play from Edpan. Advantage for Overt now for the remainder of this round, 5 versus 4. At least for the time being, but takes Hayward out completely. The Finker boost as well, the adrenal surges will not be a part of this 7th round.
I take back what I said, mental chalked.
Yeah, Hayward's mental's gone.
He's just smashed his keyboard. Juicy though, on the Monty, gaining quick control down Freezer. It'd be tricky, of course, for Overt to contest this. Instead, they'll just have to watch him stand there and gain that intel. Call will go out that no one's really playing close, instead of it playing quite deep in towards site. Pretty expected. We haven't seen anything crazy here on the defense here so far in this match.
What do you mean?
I mean in terms of setup. All right, we haven't seen a roam, an extension. It has all been
Mate, I just saw a run out from Blue Bunker. Okay, that's already crazy enough.
True. I may have overlooked that critical part of the round.
I do know what you're...
That's why you're color commentating tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly. I'm upgrading. Minute and a half, though, as the push from Knights will slowly eventuate. Juicy taking over that bunker position on the Monty. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed from Overt is just they don't sit still. They're always on the move, always keeping you guessing. They're always on their toes, watching so many different angles. Right now, it feels like Knights are slowly getting control of Freezer. Cairo, though, with this mirror shield, will make it difficult for Josh to eventually push through.
Gone 6 to bend the ADS placed by Cairo. Need to follow up, but no one playing that position. Edpan, that was inside of blue. Synced with a different nade in that bunker position. Twent now under pressure from the Monty, and Elements will try to come across to support.
They're going to wall him off.
Oh, that's risky. Twent, though, finds the pick. Juicy disrupted. I believe it was from the ice cream cone enough to dislodge that shield and finds the kill.
Did he not know he was behind the shield still?
I think he knew. Just went for it.
Didn't even look at him, though. Hey, either way, I mean, it works out really well from Overt, although the trade immediately from Josh onto Elements makes it a 3 versus 3. 30 seconds left. Sage.
No nade.
Surely they can get that kill. I mean, he literally can't go anywhere. He's stuck behind that shield. But Knights are more preoccupied with taking over control of the site.
Got to try and overwhelm sight, but Sage, he does find that kill onto Slur. Cairo elsewhere does find one. Twent able to retake blue. Cairo under the pump, needs to hold on and does, but Dino shuts him down. Now Twent, the objective changes. He needs to fall back in towards blue. Dino forced to stick the plant, can only fake it once, has to stick now. 3, 2, 1. Twent rounds the corner, and Twent wins the round.
What a round. 2 in a row now for Overt. They closed out the first half with a win. They open up the second half with a win as well. They take a 4-3 lead against Knights. Guz, is it happening?
I tell you what, this is a stressful game to watch. In the space of the last 20 to 30 seconds, I think the win condition for both teams changed like 3 times, right? It went from the Knights having Twent inside of blue isolated. They could have just 3v2'd side, tried to trade it out. Then it kind of didn't quite go their way. They didn't overwhelm it as effectively as they would have liked. Some counter aggression from the defense. That meant that Twent went from trying to run, retake site, try and aid his team, to then run away, try and survive, and then he was forced to deny the plant. So a lot going on in the last 10 to 15 seconds of that round. I was struggling to even think of words to describe what was going on. It was that wild, but really exciting stuff. Overt playing it so well. A little bit cheeky there with the initial pick in blue. A little bit cheeky to leave Twent isolated in blue, but they made it work.
I like it though. Yep. I love it. You love to see, you know, when a new team comes in like this, they're not just trying to play standard Siege, right? They're playing their style. They're They're playing aggressive. They're making it difficult on the Knights. This is where they think that they can get their win condition, and it's working out perfectly. Can they finish this off, though, is the question to be asked. And the other question is, when do the Knights start to panic? Is it at 5-3 if that does eventuate? I'm already panicking, because if Manic gets this one right, guys, I will never hear the end of it. Ever.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of a tilter. Sky as well. I'm sure he'll be giving it to me.
Jeez.
But yeah. It is important to remember, though, we are not expecting Overt to win this match. It would be such a big upset.
But that's the thing, guys. All I'm going to hear tomorrow from Manic, oh yeah, I was expecting it. That's why I tipped them.
It would be crazy. Imagine the top APAC South team in Stage 2 losing to the new kids on the block. That would just be ridiculous. Even saying it just sounds crazy.
Well,
so
it hasn't happened yet, though.
No, it hasn't. Still a long way to go. And most importantly, Overt, even if they win Dorms, they need to still then win a tertiary site. So a lot still needs to be played out. The Monty being persisted here by the Knights. Juicy once again. Quick map control. They know that what white's clear, they can try and cut that off. The Knights in a good position at the moment.
Yeah, and this is where, obviously, for Knights, their mental fortitude is really strong. They're not going to waver. They will continue to back themselves in, and I'm not going to let Overt bully them around. Now, I will say this, though. I thought that Knights had already sort of pulled back momentum when they made it 3-2. I figured, all right, this is probably where Knights will take over. But since then, Overt won the last 2. So they've won 2 rounds in a row now. Can they make it 3? The timing, Josh! How does he win that, guys? Tell me.
Look, some things just can't be answered. Leaves us in the 5v4. Juicy still. Bot White, Sage applying pressure onto Edpan to find that kill. Sawyer, Twent, Elements need to try and hold on. Not really much Twent can do in this position. Pinged out and now isolated in the corner. The nade from Sage is perfection. Sawyer and Elements. Dire straits for them in this round. Elements to try and take White stairs. That's another perfect nade from Sage. Is taken down, so it's not flawless for the Knights, but it may as well have been. What a response.
Clinical from the Knights that round, and they will even up the scoreboard 4 apiece. I would definitely say Overt got picked apart that round, for sure, on Dorms. They will repeat. That's the kind of Knights we expect, though, where they just pick you apart systematically more than anything. It wasn't like chaos. They didn't have to, swarm the site or, rush bodies onto site, guys. It was like, one by one, we're going to take you out, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it was like a hitman just going through his list, right? Every single player was isolated, called out, and then either naded or put in a position where they just couldn't win the fight, and they were basically just choked out of sight. So it was really, really well played there from the Knights. I love the fact that Juicy, again, got that early control bot White. That means that rotating down there as a defender is basically impossible, or if you do want to rotate, you are going to be called out, and the Knights are one team that's super coordinated and can punish that. That means that the rest of the team basically isolated, and if the Knights, again, persist with that double window take, going to be very, very difficult for Overt to deny. So we'll have to see if they could tie things up a little bit more in this round. Maybe, I think, the play for them could be get in the face of the Knights again. Try and get a little bit aggressive. If you can get that opening pick, that means you can free up one of your defenders to maybe play a bit more aggressive in that mid-round and not allow the Knights to just rule themselves really over the whole map.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
Well, I'm glad that we've got a game here, and I think this very much now sets the tone for Overt's season a little bit. Obviously, it's only one game. In fact, the game that hasn't even finished yet, but I know that many of us felt that they would do okay, guys.
Yeah.
But then you start to question, well, how far can they really go? If they can push teams like Knights, if this is something that can become regular, well, suddenly then sky's the limit, really, at the end of the day. But good signs so far early on for Overt, and you take the wins when you can get them, and I think it's fine to praise them, but we'll see if they can get the job done. And even if they don't, even if Knights do sort of pull away here, I think you could still give them a pat on the back, considering their circumstances and the expectations placed on them for this stage.
The Jackal here being employed by the Knights. Smart decision. It means that the players, such as Elements, roaming inside of Kitchen, spotted. Peace of mind for Juicy, who again just stations himself on this position. And look, that would have to be probably the most boring role on this team at the moment, to just stand here the entire round, but it's a critical role
been
at
located.
that, and a role that Juicy fulfills really, really well. Now, Elements will make his way up the stairs. If he contests this, if he manages to take down the Monty somehow, that would be absolutely massive for Overt.
He has to time this, where I was going to say, where the Monty's already halfway pushing up White Stairs and doesn't. Does get spotted, gets pinged out as well. Minute and a half. Does put, I guess, the doubt into Juicy's mind a little bit, though. And I know that, of course, Elements is roaming around. He will make his way back over towards Freezer. Minute 20 on the clock here. Now just will silently make his way back up.
The Knights, of course, know there's a roamer. Lobby being held. Ooh, Cairo swings meeting, gets the down onto Hayward. A big opening pick there. Elements gets aggressive, finds that down, confirms the kill. Dino elsewhere though with the 5.56 does drop Edpan. 4v4, 50 seconds left.
It just feels like Elements is making it difficult for Juicy to push up White Stairs, gain ascendancy of that position by just holding this Freezer area. He doesn't even need to overcommit, just makes it hard for Juicy. We are now seeing that push down White Stairs as well. Sage with the elimination onto Elements now gives the advantage for Knights. Dino's going to get this diffuser down though with 35 seconds remaining in the round. Sage is going big though. I think Josh should take care of this position. Basically does so. It's only Cairo and Twent that is remaining. Cairo having a bit of a dance with Juicy on the Monty. And Knights are going to take a 5-4 lead going into the 10th round. Unless Cairo does something magical. It's not to be the only fantasy. 5-4 lead for the Knights.
This structure from the Knights is a real headache for Overt to deal with. White Stairs is almost impossible to hold, and that does expose them to that double window position. Elements did a really good job to hold on for as long as he possibly could, but eventually he fell. There was at least 3 players holding the top of White Stairs, waiting for him to run back up. Just nothing you could feasibly do in that scenario to try and open up a win condition for your team. So really well played by the Knights. Overt, they can find comfort back down below. That said, they're exposed for the rest of this matchup. Upstairs, for me, is a no-go zone for them. We'll need to see them start to win sites like Kitchen Meeting or Kitchen Dining to be any chance of winning the map.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Just feels like maybe this is the final chance for Overt to extend this match. If Knights can get to 6, it's likely they will be able to close it out here in regulation as well. That's the other thing to bring up. Of course, if this does go to overtime, Overt would be able to at least get 1 point, which would already match Rhythm's 1 point from stage 2, Guz, which is what Sawyer said he wanted to better, or for his team to better. Do that in day 1 against the Knights would be exceptional. As you said, though, we head back downstairs where it has been comfortable in the basement for Overt on both attack and the defense. They have been very successful. 3 of the 4 times we've gone down to basement, Overt have been able to win out.
Roam time here, though, for Overt. The first roam on a downstairs defense we'll see this evening between the two. Interestingly enough, no rotation on Attic. I believe it was double reared and muted off with a jammer. So heavy emphasis placed here on Overt being able to hold trophy, bedroom, etc. As they have no rotation back over towards Big Tower. We'll see whether or not the Knights want to contest this. Juicy still again persisting with the Montaigne can help significantly in this clear. It really comes down to how aggressive they want to be. I don't anticipate the Knights to get too excited. Play this methodically, make sure that they have their bases covered. Try and isolate these picks as much as possible.
Oh, that's unfortunate for Elements. He got pinged out as well. Sage had the information. Elements was completely caught unaware, and that is a player down on the roam, and that's going to make things difficult for Overt when they do eventually now fall back to site. Sage and the Knights seeing if they can maybe find one more, but I think Overt have all now fallen back. It's the unfortunate part of a roam like that, guys. Obviously, the goal is to try and make it 5-4 in your favor, but by doing so, you risk this sort of scenario. Now the Knights can really open up this site late in the round.
Yeah, high risk, high reward. You don't necessarily always need to find that kill, but at the very least, you need to waste a lot of time. And unfortunately, Elements being popped in the back of the head, he wasted basically no time at all. So, unfortunate start here for Overt. Cairo forced to aggress now a little bit over towards backstairs, monitored again by the hallway monitor himself, the Don, Juicy. He has just been holding out that extended shield for the last 15 minutes of this match, but looking as comfortable as ever, and again, having a big impact on the perceived pressure here of the defense. Edpan, again, trying to find something for his team. Everyone from Overt getting a little bit aggressive here, a little bit excited, trying to find something. Time is running down here for the Knights, but a minute is more than enough to work with.
Well, not so much that, but the run out from Edpan to check that area, and now as soon as he falls back, the Knights, of course, now drop into that spot and can take control of this blue bunker position. Still holding that elbow position, and yeah, with 40 seconds remaining, Gasbabe does go out. It will buy a little bit more time here for Overt. In fact, doing quite well with the man disadvantage. They do rotate now over towards blue, looking to keep control of this area, make it difficult for the Knights to push in. Quento pushes up. That's going to leave this backstairs position and pillar exposed slightly. Sawyer with the kill onto Sage. Hayward trying to just create this entryway so that the players from blue bunker can push in. Edpan though with the kill onto Josh. Laundry suddenly an option as well into red time. Dino has got control of pillar, waiting for that player to peek from Freezer. Time though is of the essence. They need to get Juicy on site to get this plant down. Sawyer with another one, 2 for the round. Pulls out the shotgun. Juicy pulls out the pistol. Overt pull out the win.
Ooh, close round there for the Knights. But those smoke canisters in blue, wasting so much time. I thought a minute, that's fine. The Knights, they'll be looking pretty comfortable. They can take blue, take a pillar. Maybe even try the plant a couple of times, but no, really, 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 really well played there by Sawyer on the smoke. He wasted so much time. Keeping in mind as well, I believe, unless it got changed, smoke canisters as well are a direct counter to Finker. If you're boosted, you take more damage. If that got changed recently, let me know. But either way, again, really, really well played. They hold on in the end. They prevent the Knights, most importantly, from ascertaining match point. But now the real challenge comes. They tried upstairs twice. They got absolutely slaughtered. Now they need to show what they're made of on the tertiary.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
And it definitely feels like whenever they can get Juicy on the Monty under control, or at least someone under control, that Overt stand a much better chance. That's the win condition, at least in my eyes. When we look back to Dorms, Juicy had such a large impact, especially controlling white stairs on the Monty. They just couldn't quite deal with it. When we look at Basement, in the opening round of the second half, of course, we saw Juicy get caught when he pushed in towards Elbow, and then really in that last round just got caught in the crossfire of so much happening over towards Blue Bunker. They need to almost make that Monty just completely useless. If Overt can do that once again here for Kitchen Meeting, then I think they can win this round and get 1 point secured and match point.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Oryx being used here by Edpan from Overt. That might lend into a bit of aggression here from the defense. In fact, he will play down below and see him just whoop, straight up the hatch. And he's back in towards site, so he can play again down below and prevent any takes from blue. Anyone sneaking in can play above and help his team retain control of the hatch. So a lot of options available to him. As for the Knights, though, it looks like Big Tower will be their point of interest. Dino on the hard breach. Juicy as well as secondary hard breach available, and if they can work together here, they can open up rear stage and think about getting that plant down.
Big round though, the 11th round. Who's going to get that match point? Put the pressure on the other team. I would almost have to sense a timeout surely is on the other side from the losing side. Would be the perfect time for it. Or Overt, do they continue to play in that aggressive manner, look to find these picks? Obviously it didn't work out in the last round. Despite that though, they actually fell back to site, still held on quite well defensively, even down a player. And it says a lot about them that, you know, you're seeing Overt on this defensive roam, trying to find a few picks. Josh on that drone. Not sure if he spotted Edpan though.
30 remaining. Exothermic detonated, that's up above. Exposes the line of sight in towards Attic, making that hatch tricky to hold now for the defense. The next objective for the Knights will be to open up rear stage, allowing entry point in towards the objective itself. Kitchen hallway held here by the Knights. The use of that Monty to block up the door, really, really pivotal. He can just stand there, prevent anyone from retaking that position. In fact, he can find a kill, Pyro down.
That is such a critical kill. I mean, Juicy had already done his job by just blocking off that doorway to find the kill. There's icing on the cake. 50 seconds left. Overt were able to turn around that man disadvantage in the last round. Can they do it again? It will have to be now from -2 because they've lost Edpan. Twent taking damage as well. He does get the kill onto Juicy. Still very low. Hayward trying to fire a few shots back. And Sawyer's been taken down though. So Twent, with his low health and elements, the 3 versus 3 down elements. He will finish off Sage. Can he get he does get the second one, 3 for the round. Josh though, now in a 1 versus 1. As we assume Sawyer's not going to be able to be brought back up, goes for the plant. Elements will go for the revive. It will be a 2 versus 1, Guz.
Pickup committed to Josh. Repositioning in towards kitchen, has line of sight on
he's
the
gonna drop.
hatch. I think Overt can trade it.
What if they drop single-handedly? He'll get 1. And now, because they both dropped a little too slow between each other, still, Elements is on site. 23 seconds, does still have some time, but does he know where Josh has relocated? And knows now time is very much against him. And he does not know where Josh is. In fact, does he even know where the diffuser is? He's found it. 10 seconds, expecting the push from Josh. He can't get off it any longer. There's the peaks, there's the shots, but there goes the time. Knights are going to have a 6-5 lead and match point.
So close there from Elements. He has been playing really well so far in this match, but not quite enough there in the end. The bait from Sawyer on the drop, not quite followed up there in time. Such a difficult position that they found themselves in. Not a lot of time to work with. They didn't even know, I don't believe, where that diffuser was actually planted. So all the odds against them. But again, the key point of interest in this round, it has to be the Monty again. It feels like Juicy has just been so impactful on a lot of these attacks. Shut down kitchen hallway, got the opening pick. It was really only a miracle retake or a miracle flank there from Elements that even gave Overt a look in on that round. Again though, not quite enough, and the discipline from Josh to win out this position, just absolutely beautiful. One of the best players, of course, going around for one of the best teams going around.
In a way, it would actually be very heartbreaking if Overt get nothing from this. They deserve a point.
I agree.
They deserve a point. If they lose this 7-5, they actually will fuel the Rhythm, because that's kind of been Rhythm's thing in OCN, Guz, where they got a lot of 7-5s. They were competitive, but they just couldn't quite get points. I don't know why I keep saying it like it's a past tense. They're still in the stage. But still, nonetheless, it does give me kind of Rhythm vibes if they do lose this one 7-5. For the Knights, though, of course, 3 points now on offer. They can get all 3 points. They've got at least 1 already banked up for Overt. They must win this round to at least secure 1 point and maybe then go for 2 in overtime.
5 seconds left.
I have to defend above, though. I don't know if Overt have it in them. They've just been really struggling on this objective. And that's not to diss Overt. I'm not about that. It has just been a clinic from the Knights. Both times they have won up above, it's been very similar, right?
Yeah.
Send Juicy but White. Cut off the rotations. Take double window. Prevent White from ever being touched by the defense. And then just absolutely crush every single member on site. Overt have just not really been allowed to have any breathing room on this objective. So I'm keen to see whether or not they can open up the round a little bit more here. Maybe try and contest Juicy a bit more. Potentially find a way to prevent themselves from just being flooded by these projectiles. I don't know exactly what the answer is to the problems that they are having at the moment, but something needs to be slightly tweaked here. Try and throw the Knights off this game.
Or somewhat maybe more along the lines of a bit more security control and White stance control until at least you get forced off of it and then have to drop down security hatch, then rotate off. But I think that's generally where they've been losing it, has been allowing Juicy to get up White stairs and take that position. Knights have won now 3 of the last 4 rounds. It's imperative that Overt can maybe get off to a good start here. An opening pick, and once again, it's deja vu, guys. We see Juicy trying to control bot White.
They do have elements on the Oryx. That dash can dislodge the Montang, try and break his shield, so that could be a potential counter, but getting close enough to Juicy is going to be tough, especially if he is receiving coverage from his teammates. A bad start again, once again for Overt Edpan to fall. That's the alibi off the board. Twent now under quite a bit of pressure in attic stage as well to find one. Tough circumstances they find themselves in. Kyra down below. He needs to go big, but as well shut down by Sage. A 2v5.
It's happened again for the 3rd time, where Overt have just been systematically pulled apart on this Dorm's site. from Knights. They show the difference between the two teams in the end. A valiant effort from Overt. The Knights, they're still top dogs. They'll take all 3 points from this matchup with a 7-5 victory.
As we always say, Jake, Dorms. It is the objective that always dictates this map result. Yep. And the Knights, they win it 3 times in a row, Overt with no response. A valiant performance for their opening match in the Oceanic Nationals, but again, outclassed by one of, if not the best team in the APAC South and Oceanic region.
It needs to be said, though, what a performance from Overt. 7-5, they took it right up to the Knights here on Oregon. I think that they should feel pretty happy about themselves with that performance. Obviously, they don't get any points, so they can't be too ecstatic, but still, nonetheless, we sort of prefaced it in the pre-show that this was to be some sort of a training montage of a stage. And boy, did they get some great experience. We welcome back our lovely analyst, of course, Bast. And I'm going to go straight to you first, though, Vast, because what a game that was. Overt, I mean, were you a little bit surprised?
I was really impressed with Overt. The way they came out swinging just from the start, it just really surprised me, and I think it surprised the Knights as well.
Guz?
Yeah, Overt brought this sort of energy into the server where they weren't too afraid to play their own play style. Now, for the most part, that did work. It did unravel a little bit again on that Dorm's objective upstairs. Their defense was really quite weak, but if you take that out of the equation, they played some really damn good Siege. Really impressed with what we saw. Good signs, I think, for the rest of the stage, because again, the Knights are arguably one of the most difficult opponents they're going to face. If they can play this well against some of the other teams in the league that are arguably not as strong, they are seriously going to accumulate points.
Yeah. It's a feels bad kind of moment for Overt, but in some ways, guys, I guess it is also, hey, that wasn't so bad. They can build off this and what they could be potentially capable of for the rest of the stage. If they can bring that sort of siege to other teams in OCN, you would expect them, guys, to maybe get a few points along the way.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Overt are going to go downhill from this game onwards. If anything, they're only going to grow and improve. I'm sure, again, a lot of lessons would have been learnt from this. On Oregon more specifically, again, if they tidy up that upstairs defense, then their Oregon play is going to look really strong. In terms of stats, having a look, nothing really standing out. I do want to give a mention to Elements, though. Again, always easy to point out the person at the top of the scoreboard, but there were a couple of really key rounds from him where he either facilitated a round win or almost kept his team in it. So a really, really strong performance from him, and across the board quite consistent. Again, from the Knights, though, same old. Juicy, again, a standout, not in the stat department, but on the attacking half, on the Montang, absolutely pivotal in a lot of those round wins.
Fast?
Yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with Elements, Kyra, and Edpan. They were playing really confident, really aggressive. I just think they kind of ran out of steam in the end. Knights started to figure out how they were playing and started to punish them for that, and then after Knights figured that out, Overt didn't really have an answer to, change up their play style and try to change what's not working.
One thing I'm going to say, it's a fun fact with Xenox, guys, and I always love them. Guess what? Knights only won one round outside of Dorms. Can you believe that statistic? Outside of Dorms, Knights only won one site, which was one of the laundry supply sites. Everything else, they got all their round wins from Dorms. That was both on defense and attack. We obviously always have our jokes, Dorms is the difference maker. In the end, it quite literally was this game more than ever.
100%. It was just really, again, really impressive how strong the Knights were on that particular objective. They just had it down to a T. And the disappointing thing, I think, for Overt, they'll look back at this VOD and they'll see what we saw. The Knights did almost the exact same thing for 3 rounds straight, and they didn't have a good response. In the very last attempt, we saw they got super aggressive in security, top freezer stairs. Like, they were trying desperately to clutch up something there at the very end, but again, wasn't quite enough. So back for the drawing board again for them on that particular objective, but taking a step back again, just good performance across the board. I don't think they'll be too disappointed with this result. Any round against the Knights, never mind 5, is a very good effort.
I want your thoughts on this one, though, Vast. Winning basically almost all of their rounds on Dorms. It was obviously the difference maker. Did you see anything that maybe caught your eye as to why that was the difference maker between the two teams?
Something that I noticed with the Knights was, in particular, the way they were using the Monty on that Dorms. Juicy coming up wide, he was able to gain a lot of map control quickly. He was able to gain a lot of info, and we saw that round where Sajon got 2 nade kills, literally from Juicy calling out that the players have moved to that double window corner And I just think a big point to make is also the way Knights were kind of surrounding site as Sejon and Juicy were working that double window. We had Dino opening Genwall, and we had a few other players in Trophy, so they were just pinching site, and there was not really anywhere for Overt to sit.
Definitely a team effort that Juicy was, I guess, the star of the show on the Monty in the end. We're going to have a quick chat with him here, of course, for our first interview of the stage. It is the Don. Welcome on in. Another win. But I do have to say, were you a little bit surprised from Overt?
Not surprised. We were getting caught out by stuff that we knew every round what they were basically going to do. We were, as prepared for it as we could. We're getting caught out by stuff we knew was going on. So it was, a bit frustrating the first few rounds. I don't know, someone dropping E-Hatch, I think, 2 rounds in a row and getting doubles. It was, a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. We knew that our attacks were fairly strong and coordinated, so we could just come back from there.
Yeah, talking about those attacks, Juice, of course, you jumped onto the Monty in that second half. We thought it had a pretty big impact. Keen to hear your thoughts, of course. It seemed like upstairs you were locking down White, the meeting attack as well. Kitchen hallway was locked down as well. Just how impactful was that, Monty?
It's pretty good when I'm just completely indestructible and they can't really shoot me. So, it's, I don't know, I'm just standing in places, getting a lot of info. And as you saw, Sage getting freebies. I think by the third time I stood on before the round, Sage stood outside White window. They're going to regress on me this round. It's been brewing for a couple of rounds now. And I think he got a couple of freebies from them trying to push me. So, I don't know, Monty's just good op.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk quickly about kind of the mental aspect behind that game. I think mental is just as important as having good strats and everything else. How do you guys reset from losing those first couple rounds?
I think it's as simple as knowing that we screwed up. They didn't do anything spectacular. We screwed up. They played well, of course, but, we were losing to ourselves. We knew what was going on, as I said. We were just screwing up a couple of things. So it's nothing massive. It's just, next round we keep going, and I think that's what you got to at this point. Otherwise, you'll never make it anywhere. So good mentals, super important. That's about
Totally
it.
agree.
You guys are churning along very nicely for Stage 3 in both APAC South and now OCN, mate. So everything's looking good. Any final shout-outs you want to give?
Of course, just the fans and you guys for the cast and everything. Without it, every week it doesn't happen, as I always say. So just thanks to everyone.
Thank you very much, mate. Best of luck in all of your games to come. I think we're playing tomorrow again.
Yes, we certainly are. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow night.
Definitely. I probably expect it. Of course, the Don is good. And the Knights are looking very good. Although it's a big game tomorrow night, the Chiefs. So I'm not so sure what's going to happen there. That's exciting. But hey, look, this has of course been a big win for the Knights. Should definitely give them their just due here. They held on, and I think Vast made a good point. When it comes to the mental aspect, I think yourself and I, Michael, were very much questioning in the first couple of rounds when it was 2-1. You start to wonder, when does that mental maybe snap? I would have thought Hayward's probably dropped in the bin a little bit after he got rushed from blue, but nonetheless, Knights are too good, and we kind of expected them to hold on in the end, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, good insight there. Good question from Vast. Just tapping into that mental aspect. It's important for teams, if they are struggling, to identify what's going wrong and being able to adjust it. And I think the fact that the Knights were actually able to do that is just, again, another sign of how experienced they are. These 5 plus Picnic as coach have been together for so long. They've been in these positions time and time again. So they were able to take that step back, realize what was happening, and correct those mistakes. They tidied up their attack, as Juicy mentioned in the interview. And yeah, they got the full 3 points.
Final thoughts, Vast?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on about Overt. I think they have a lot of potential, and I think that, tonight is a really good learning experience for them. Although, it is against Knights, I don't want to see them get in their own heads and kind of expect that exact same performance, consistently. But I think it'd be important for them to look at kind of when the game started to shift more Knights side and see, where they went wrong and see, why what they were doing was starting to not really work.
Basically just watch Storms.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more games to watch tonight, though. Big win for the Knights. Coming up, though, our next game, it's going to be Rufflecopter versus Order.
forever.